We are live. We are live. Nice song playing tonight, people. And yeah, that's the thingy there, isn't it? Yep. 2 signatures. Oh, we have one person watching. That's exciting. Playing a song on purpose tonight. Welcome, welcome. I'll play it a little bit more until we have some more. Hello, lovely Laura. How are you, gorgeous? And Ian, yay. You set your alarm for the right time. I'm so excited. Ian is in the UK.
I got that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I just want to play a little bit more of this song. I'm just waiting for a couple more people to come in. I'm using my little laptop without a big screen, so I am struggling. Hello, Lynn. Nice to see you. And Hannah. Bear. Oh, Pat Twig. Yay. Laura is good, but busy at work. Oh, I hope you're not at work now. Anyway, busy, haha. Okay, let me turn this off. So you might hear rain. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so welcome everybody. So lovely to, yeah, I love the Seekers as well, Ian. They are gorgeous. We were just talking about that. They are an amazing band. So my guest tonight is Rosemary Crawford. Now, the reason that she's my guest is I'm actually sitting in her house, so she didn't have much choice. But Rosemary and I are very good friends, and we go back 10 years, my goodness.
At least.
At least, yes. And The Carnival Is Over is a piece of music that is relevant to Rosemary. Do you want to explain why?
Because it's the end of an era for me, a very positive end, and it's the beginning of the wonderful future.
Yeah. And we worked out that there are a lot of people at the moment who've got a lot of endings and beginnings. And do you know what? Out of every, every cloud has silver lining, and out of everything bad, there is always something wonderful and positive that comes. And as long as you look at it that way, and you don't look at it in a negative way or with a negative aspect, you know, I get fed up of listening to people who go, oh, moan, this happened because, and that happened because, and you think, no, just get out of your own way and make the changes for yourself, you know. And that's coming from 2 ladies who've been through marriages and divorces and brought kids up on our own, and, you know, all of that. Yeah. And there are an awful lot of people who go through so many trials and tribulations. So now I wanted to talk about the rain, because over here in Australia, we have had, I think here the day before yesterday, we actually had 34 inches of rain, which is amazing. Hello, Angela. I'm hoping that you're all good. But 34 inches of rain. And I know different parts of Australia, especially in New South Wales, all along the Hawkesbury River and the Nepean River. And now we're getting more rain. It's building up. And people have watched their houses just floating down rivers. And it's so, so sad. But, you know, people go, oh, my gosh, Australia. But it is a country of extremes. And you would know more about that than us, because you're from farming background.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, I used to live on 120 acres that would quite often be flooded. Like right now, it would be flooded. Luckily, we sold it a month ago, so somebody else's problem. But when it flooded, the water would sometimes stay there for a month. And the stench of the stale water sitting there, and you've got cows starving, and there's plenty to drink, but it's awful. It's not good for them.
It is horrible. And I saw pictures this week of one of our beautiful beaches, Port Macquarie, I think it was, and there's all this debris on the beach and dead cows. So, you know, it is really, really horrible. And, you know, when you think about when a flood happens and it brings all that, it's not just the water, it's all the other stuff that goes with it, like the sewerage and stuff. So, you know, prayers going out for all those people who've been affected by that. And sadly, we've got rain that's coming for at least another fortnight, isn't it? At least another week. But I know, because I came up, I came up to see Rosemary, which is 16 hours north of where I live. Hello, Relly, lovely to see you. And I got to a place called Taree, and Taree to Iluka, which is where I stayed with my cousin. It was 5-hour drive in the most torrential rain, and the visibility was awful. And then I drove through one of the places, hello Shrey, drove through one of the places called Coffs Harbour, and I could not believe, I've never seen potholes like it. They were like great big craters in the middle of the road. Bella, hello, and Helen, lovely to see you. Yeah, so you know, it's a pretty horrible thing. And of course we I think we had floods like this in 2016, so I remember those floods as well. And then of course we have the fires and whatever. But what people don't realize, and we were talking about this, hello Pam, is that this is an enormous country. Britain is a smaller country with a smaller ecosystem. Is that the word I need to use? Because I'll get it wrong. Whereas we've got like a million countries all in one, because it's so huge, you know. So it's one of those things that we have to learn to live with, but it is very, very scary when you're going through it. You know, I drove up to Coffs Harbour for ordination, and I followed the bushfires. So everywhere I went, I was driving through the tail end of a bushfire, and that was pretty scary as well. And of course, last year we had bushfires as well. So, you know, fire, flood, and what else do we get? Drought.
Drought's the biggest, the worst of the lot.
Yeah. And I know we were talking with Nicole on the 8th of March a couple of weeks ago, and she was on here, and she was talking about the drought affected farm areas where she was in Dubbo, and how she was helping the farmers to come to terms with that loss, and those people were actually coming to her for healing as well. So she said it's so sad when you see a grown man crying, you know, and he's in his big akubra and his big boots and his shorts, and he's sitting there just crying because he's lost everything or about to lose everything. Yeah. So we've got some new people on here. We've got Sandra, beautiful to see you. Yeah, Flood QLD 2010, yes. And I'm struggling to see tonight because I haven't got my big screen. So my poor little eyes, I have contact lenses in, but I'm having difficulty seeing these. I should get a magnifying glass. Gillian, lovely to see you. And Relly, had clients on Saturday escaping from Taree to Albury. Yeah. So it's pretty horrible. And Kate's my kayaking buddy. She's more than a kayaking buddy. She's a good friend as well, but I always say she's my kayaking buddy, so that's quite exciting. So I am in Nambour in Queensland. I'm very excited to be here. But I arrived, I'm one of those visitors that you don't want to have. John, hello. I'm one of those visitors that you don't want to have. So in amongst moving, I turn up. She didn't know I was coming, so I've become an unpackerer. It's been quite interesting, actually, going through things. But yeah, so Rosemary moved into a new house, hence the song "Carnival Is Over" on Saturday, literally, and I arrived about 5 o'clock. Yep. As her sons were still here unpacking and unloading a crate. So I offered to make tea and nobody wanted one. I think by that time everybody was a bit sour.
They don't drink tea.
Oh, you tell me. You told me to put the kettle on, you silly woman. But anyway, so I'm here. I'll let Rosemary do some talking in a minute, because Rosemary can talk heaps for herself. And once she starts, you'll never shut her up. But I've come up to do 2 church services. So while I'm here, I'm doing Curoi Church on this next Wednesday, which is the 24th.
Yep.
And then I'm doing Rosemary's Church at Bly on the 31st. And that happens to be Hydesville Day, so I'm quite excited about doing the
International Spiritualism Day.
International Spiritualism Day, yes. Okay, I always call it Hydesville Day. I think some people still do. Serena, Serena, how lovely. Now, I know you're from Germany, so Guten Abend, Guten Morgen. I know it's Guten Morgen for you and Guten Abend for us. So lovely to see you, and willkommen. Thank you very much for being on here. What were we saying about the church services? Yes, so I'm excited about doing the church services. I love doing church services because it's a huge part of the work that I do. Lorraine has just come on here, and Lorraine runs the Elizabeth Spiritualist Church over in Adelaide, and I'm going there in September, and I'm so excited. My time has been really crazily busy, Lorraine, so I do apologise, but I will give you a call, I promise. And Susie McDougall from down there in Canberra. There's people from all over the place here, which is lovely. Daniel Bond, Serena again, good Abend for you. Yes, thank you. And Debbie Sunshine, looking forward to seeing you at Bly. How exciting. So come and say hello, Debbie. Do you know Debbie?
I've talked to her on the phone. I haven't met her.
Right, there you go. So I will look forward to meeting you, and so will Rosemary. And and the other thing that I'm doing on Saturday, if anybody's interested, is I'm actually doing a workshop. Now, we might be surrounded by packing boxes.
No, they'll be gone. Magic wand's coming out.
Okay, we've been going izzy wizzy, let's get busy, and trying to get things magically disappearing. But thank you, Lorraine. I look forward to it too. So we were going to talk tonight, and I didn't know what to talk about. So I said to Rosemary that this morning I just got the information from Spirit to talk about ministry and being a reverend within the spiritualist movement. We are both reverends. Rosemary runs her own church now. I have run my own church in the past, and I'm now a big part, and I'm sure they won't mind me saying that, of Wollongong Spiritualist Church. And we have both belonged to 2 spiritual organizations and been ordained in 2 spiritual organizations. Yes, we had some issues with the first one, and that's all we get. That's all we're going to say. But we're now with we're different. We're different.
Yeah, we're different.
I'm with the International Council of Spiritualists, and Rosemary, you're going to have to say this because I always get it wrong.
No, I can't. No, the Church of Spiritualism of Australia.
There we go. So that's where I will be on Wednesday with Rosemary, and Curoi with Kathy McVan. And I'm excited about going to Kathy McVan's. I've worked at both churches before in the past, and I always get such an incredible welcome from them. And I've got to say, and I always get a lovely welcome from Lorraine, because she'll get upset otherwise, because can I tell you what, their church is gorgeous. Anyway, so let's talk about ministry. What do we do when we're ministers? It's what do we have to, what are we about?
Basically, the most important thing is that we follow the 7 principles, because no spiritualist church is any good without them. And we really have, people don't realise that we have a duty of care to everybody that comes into our churches, and that we also, we have a mission statement, and the mission statement is to keep the people that come to our churches safe. It has to be a safe place, because in the past churches have not always been that.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it is absolutely hammering. We said it would happen, didn't we?
Yep.
But if you can hear the rain, it's beautiful. But yeah, it's a bit soggy. So, but also as a minister, we do weddings and funerals and naming ceremonies. I volunteered to do a naming ceremony for some people in the UK at Nash, New Addington Spiritual Healing Centre. And originally it was only going to be 1 or 2 people. I did 20. So it was incredible, and they're a lovely bunch of people, and of course you have to give them a spirit name,
Yes.
as well as a certificate, and and it was done. I actually got quite emotional. Oh my gosh, please let me know if you can hear this rain. It's really loud.
Yep.
Anyway, I think Ian can, because he's got umbrellas up there. So yes, we. I wonder if I should shut the door. Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. Oh, that's better.
Shall I shut the other one?
No, it's all right. That's much better. We thought we'd better shut the door because it might help the noise, and we don't want the rain coming in here. Not that it would, but anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, weddings, funerals, and naming ceremonies. I've only ever done one funeral in my time, and yeah, heavy rain, and that was amazing. I think I've spoken about. I'll talk about this for a second, then I'll let Rosemary talk. But the funeral that I did was about, oh gosh, it's got to be 10, 12 years ago, for a friend of mine, and she had actually said, can you read at my funeral? She was very, very sick, Mary. I've probably talked about this before. And then I'm in my back garden listening to the pond and standing in the sunshine, and I went, Mary, oh no, Mary. And of course, there she was in spirit, standing by the side of me, talking to me and smiling. And within the hour, I got the phone call from her daughter to say Mum's passed. And I said, yeah, she's already been here, which was beautiful. So she said, oh, what are you going to do about Mum's funeral? Oh, hi, Gillian. Sorry, I forgot to say hello to you earlier. So what are you going to do about Mum's funeral? I said, well, she asked me to read. And she said, no. I've got instructions that Val's doing my funeral. I thought, oh my gosh, but it was the most wonderful, wonderful thing. She'd given a list of the things that she wanted, like the songs and the people to speak, and of course I had to do a eulogy, and we ended up in fits laughing, and it was just so funny because she was just such a funny person. So funerals don't have to be all doom and gloom and misery, do they? I just think, and the same with weddings, although there is a reverence to each of those things that we do, naming, wedding and funeral, there is a light-heartedness to it as well.
It has to be.
Yeah. Brett is one that does funerals as well, and he loves doing funerals, and he always makes people laugh. And anybody that knows Brett knows what I'm talking about. So how many have you done of all of these things?
I have never done a naming, which is really interesting. I've only done one funeral. It was a friend's daughter's funeral, and she had no money, and the funeral director wanted thousands of dollars, and she rang me up and said, don't worry about it, it's taken care of. And we did it, and it was a beautiful ceremony because it was, everybody came with love, and that's what they should be bringing to a funeral.
Yeah.
And I think I've done 29 weddings. So.
Not mine.
No. And, yes, and you're not doing mine either, because there aren't any. Been there, done that.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to have that humour and fun and laughter in the work that we do, because otherwise it just becomes really doom and gloom and miserable. And the work that we actually do is not,
No,
I mean,
not.
I'm doing these lives in the name of spiritualism, and because that is my job. And I absolutely love these every week, just bringing different people on and talking about different subjects. Don't forget your questions, by the way. If anybody's got a question, I'll struggle to read it, but please let me have your questions. And I'm sure with a topic like this, there will be quite a few questions. But so you're quite a big part of your organisation, aren't you?
Well, I'm a minister, so that makes us all a big part, really.
I like to think of you being even more than that. But yeah, and so what else do we have to do? I mean, I'm just thinking about Sue Edmonds at Wollongong. I mean, she's out and about nearly every day dealing with people who need her help. And it's like, ministers in other religions, they have to go and visit people in hospital.
Yes.
And you have to go and, Yes. So when people ring you up and say help, you've got to be there for them. And sometimes, and this is an interesting one, because sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning when you're being abused, it's not possible to do that. And then you get more abuse, and then you end up having to call the police. I've had to do that in the past. But people think that because you're one, a medium, and two, a minister, that at the drop of a hat you can be there for them and then miraculously put everything right for them. But you know, we have a life as well. And you can do as much as you can do, but you can't do everything, can you?
And they've got freedom of choice, and they've chosen these situations sometimes that they've got themselves into. So how can they expect us to get them out when, I mean, I've done things and I've asked upstairs to get me out, but I haven't.
Yeah. So Kate has just said, with the naming ceremonies, I understand the legal aspect, but what is the spiritual name? Excuse my ignorance. And then Lorraine said, why are we given spiritual names? Well, it's what, okay, so because we deal with spirit, and please put me right if I get this wrong, but because we deal with spirit, you're being named and you've got a physical name that you were given at birth by your parents. But then if you are asking for a spiritual naming, then it's up to spirit to give you a name that goes with that ceremony. And I know, you know, you can have lotus flower, you can have running bear, you can have lily, you can have any name. And when the medium is connecting to spirit, you have to go with, okay, I've got Lorraine Hughes, she wants a naming ceremony, what name do you want me to give to her? And then I just listened to spirit, and it was amazing. And I loved it at the naming ceremony where I did 20 people, because there were two little boys. I didn't know they were little boys. And one was called Running Deer, and one was called something like Warrior. And the mum just cracked up laughing. She said, you've just described my two boys perfectly. One is the fighter and the other one is the gentle. So it was to do with that. But it was just lovely how that all happened while we were given spiritual names. So that's the reason we are given a spiritual name. So our parents give us our birth name, and then spirit give us the spirit name, which is really lovely, isn't it?
Well, and when I was ordained the second time, I was given a spiritual name as well, which is really interesting because it was Gabriel, and Gabriel's a communicator.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So Ali has just said, can we get a spiritual name? If you want a naming ceremony, Ali, then absolutely you can. And do you know what? I'm just thinking about you and Katrina at the moment, and, you know, love and healing and best wishes going out to all of you, to both of you, because I know that things are coming up very soon. So always the healing. But if you want to have a naming ceremony, give me a call and we'll organize it, and we'll do it. And maybe when I come over to Adelaide, I can do a naming ceremony at the church.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just volunteered for myself for that one, Lorraine, and I'm hoping that's okay. But you know, we do them at Wollongong. We had to do the naming ceremony online that I did because it was in the UK, and it was also during COVID, so none of the churches were open, and it was just, honestly, it was so special. I did it at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think it was a silly o'clock time, and yeah, it was very emotional for myself, let alone all the people that were getting the names. So that was really good. So hold on, I've got to read some of these questions. How do you have a naming ceremony? You have to ask a minister.
Yes.
You ask a spiritual minister, and then they will organize it with you. So where are you, Hannah? If you let me know where you are, and I can put you in touch with people. And Ali said, thank you. Yes, please. Okay, we'll speak to Lorraine about that. And Lorraine has just sent some smiley faces, so she obviously is up for that one. So let's do a naming ceremony at your church, Lorraine. That would be wonderful.
Julian wants to know, how do you spell it? You gave her name Gaia, but how do you spell it?
Oh, sorry. You gave me the spirit name of Gaia. Oh, okay. I think it was GAI. I will go back and check. But did you not get the certificate? Because I sent all the certificates to Nash, Jan and Ness, and it was printed out on the certificate. So if you haven't had that, you need to get in touch with Jan and Ness. Yeah, and Ian was there, and he said it was lovely. It was so emotional. I found it difficult to speak through the service. the gracious one, that's right. Oh my gosh, Gillian, now I know you. That fits you perfectly. Gillian lives in Qatar and joins a lot of my things. So, but she was part of Nash before I was. So I was asked to give her a spiritual name. So now I know you. That fits to a treat. It's wonderful. Diane is there.
She's from Bly Bly Church.
Who is from Bly Bly?
Diane.
Oh, Diane from Bly Bly. I'm going to see you on Wednesday next week. Not this week, next week. Tama says hi. Gabby. Barbara says hi. Val. Hello. I'm struggling to read these tonight. I'm so sorry. Susan Adams. Gaia. Yes. And Gaia. Thank you. I'm sure that was the spelling that I got. I'll have to talk to Pat. Maybe you can get Pat to give me a call, or I can arrange that. Hannah, so which spiritual spirits actually give you the name? It's usually your guides and helpers, isn't it? It's usually your guides. So
yes.
if I'm doing a naming ceremony, my guides would give me, and of course you've got guides for different things, haven't you? So my guide would give me the names. So it was really funny because Ness and Jan were the first ones that I was to give the names for. And I was directed to go down and watch the sunrise. And Jan's name was connected to the sun. And I can't remember what Ness's was now because it's a couple of months ago, but they were so wonderful that I was sitting there watching the sunrise and these names just came to me. Hello, David. Lovely to see you. Yeah, I did ask Jan a while back, but I will ask her again. If you don't get it, Gillian, let me know because I do have copies of them and I can send it to you anyway. And yeah, good morning, David. Okay, so what other things do we do as and a naming ceremony is beautiful. I've seen them done at the Arthur Findlay College as well as a huge ceremony, and they are very, very emotional. It's like a christening. It's exactly the same.
Yeah,
as
it's
a
the same
christening.
thing. Yeah.
And we know how emotional christenings are. And everything's emotional for me because I blubber the slightest thing. So, but yeah, funerals and weddings. So you've done 29, you said?
29 weddings. I don't know how many divorces I've got, but I've got 29 weddings.
I think that's quite funny. Okay, we don't do divorces, by the way. That's a different bunch of people altogether. But you know, there is an awful lot that goes to it, and we've got to do an awful lot of training.
That's what I was going to say. The training's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So
we don't just walk in and put a hat on and say this is it. It takes a long, long time to get up with. You've got to be aware of the legal ramifications of everything we do, especially with COVID.
Yeah, and it's been very, very difficult, hasn't it, with COVID running churches. We were talking about this earlier because everything has to be individually wrapped, tea bags, cake, coffee, paper cups, and then it all has to be thrown away. And I know in our church we had to hide all the cups and mugs so nobody uses them, and then get the individual bits and bobs. So it's been a real tricky one. So in Queensland, you weren't affected as badly as places like New South Wales and Victoria. So were your churches closed at all?
For 3 months, from March till. And we went back on the 22nd of July last year because I picked 22nd for the numbers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 22.
And we didn't go back till we were allowed to have 20 people in the hall.
Yeah. Well, we at Wollongong are going back on the 11th of April, and it's been over a year. So we actually did a service from there the other day, and we linked it together with the technology of doing an online Zoom link as well as, and that was with Brett Thomas. He's a great man with the technology. So
he's coming to Bly Bly later this year.
Yay. Yeah, we have to get him on platform. And
that's what he's coming for.
Oh, great. Okay. And everybody will love Brett because he's a fantastic medium. And so he worked out all the technology. But for Wollongong, we've actually been over a year not doing services in the hall. And Brett is the same with Connected Spirits Inner West. That's been over a year, and we've missed it, going in. And I know I did my my first, sorry, my water's repeating on me. I did my first live church service just before Christmas, and I couldn't sing any of the songs because I was so emotional. It was just, I can touch somebody, I can be in somebody's proximity. And of course, that is what we all do. You know, it's about being with people and connecting to people. And online has been a fantastic substitute, but it is not quite the same, is it? Anyway, but I know some of the churches are going to continue to do, I know Brisbane Church is doing, their evening service is online, their afternoon service is in the hall. You're back at your hall, and I think most people now are back in their
Queensland,
halls. Yeah, in Queensland. And I know in New South Wales we are, if we can get the numbers, because it depends if you've got the 4 metre or the 2 metre square rule, which now I think we've just changed to the 2 metre, which means we can have 20 people in the church as well. And the church is only small. So yeah, we're still limited with what we can actually have in there. So Bella has put, Gillian's got okie dokie. Okay, don't forget to ask me. And Bella says everything takes training if you want to do it well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in somewhere and say, right, I'm a reverend, and put a collar on, or if you want to, some people do, or, you know, you've got to know all the rules and regulations. I mean, I ran a church for 3 years. I set up Wangaratta Spiritual Church, which is still running, which is lovely. And I was ordained after I set the church up, because I had to go through a whole process. And you've been a minister for how many years have you been a minister?
Donkey's a lot.
Years.
I think it's about 15.
15 years, gosh. Okay, so David has just said we at Walking with Spirit hope to reopen on the 12th of April, but continue with Zoom. Well, I hope so, because I'm actually booked to do one of your services in October, which I'm looking forward to. And you know, that's another thing that I would like to talk about. During the COVID, we have a lot of us ministers have done an awful lot of work for free. And we, at the end of the day, we've still got to pay our bills.
Yes.
And I know we don't get paid for doing a church service, but we do get reimbursed for our petrol most of the time. Some churches don't even do that. Brett always gives you a bottle of wine, which is great.
Drink it on the way.
Yeah. But most churches do remunerate you for your petrol. And I know in the UK it is a given that you're given a minimum of £25, which is $50. And if you travelled over a certain mileage, you get then so much per mile on top of that as well. Bruno, how lovely to see you again. Bruno's joined us for a few things recently, but we don't get paid to do that. But then, you know, we as mediums, I mean, I do lots of workshops and demonstrations, mediumship shows, and that pays my bills. So, you know, this is for me, this is my full-time profession. So, you know, something has got to give me money to put the food on the table, pay my rates, and you know, all the other things that goes into running a life and running a home. And I think Jenny Doherty and I, we were talking about this the other day, and Karen Wood as well. We all work very closely together. And Jenny and I were going to do an online Zoom an online mediumship demonstration. And we were charging for it, and we were only charging £10, which is $5, and we didn't get anybody that booked. Now, I think that's a bit unfair, because, you know, ordinarily, excuse me, I would be charging for a ticket at a show, because I've got to get there, I've got to book the hall, and you know, pay all of those things. I've got to pay my insurance. We still have to pay insurance, even though we haven't been working for the last year. We've still had to have insurance, and none of those things are cheap. But when people refuse to pay because now we're having it all for free online, I think that's a bit sad. So I'm trying to get the message across, and it's not that we're being greedy, it's that this is our full-time profession. So Karen Wood, it's her full-time profession. Rosemary, this is her full-time profession. Me, it's my full-time profession, and the same with Jenny Doherty. So, I think it's worth remembering, everybody, that, you know, we have to pay our public liability insurance. It's huge, absolutely huge. And then, you know, when you've got to book a hall, you book a hall for your church service, and you have to pay the rent for that every week or every month or whenever you do it. So, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to pay out for. And then, you know, if you are doing church services, you have to travel to the church. And a lot of the churches, especially since I've been here in Australia, there's no, it's not surprising to have to travel over an hour to get to a church. So you've used your time. So it's an hour there, an hour back, an hour and a half for the service. So that's how many, 3.5 hours, and your petrol. So, and I don't think people realize those things. You know, they see you at the church and they think, oh yeah, we're going to go in and we're going to get some free messages. And you know, but it's our time, it's our livelihood, it's our living. So Brandon has just put something up. So is no one going to do the right thing and tell this? Oh dear me. Yes, okay, we're going to let you go. Sorry, we had another lovely person that just decides that they want to put some abusive stuff in here, so we've just deleted him. Okay, and I'm not a stupid blonde bitch anyway. I may be a bit dumb sometimes, but I'm not. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and exactly, Lorraine, plus the number of years of training. And I've been doing this 32 years. And how long have you been doing it?
Actually, since I got a divorce. Wasn't allowed before.
Yeah. Oh no, that's an interesting one, because I used to have an awful lot of resistance from my husband when I was doing this work, and I used to go to church and say, oh, my husband doesn't like it, and this, that, and the other, and the number of older mediums that used to say we had the same issue, and I was so grateful to think that other people were going through it, but with my situation, and I'm sure I can say it because it's a long time gone, he was a musician, so he was the one who was on the stage being the one who was going to be famous, and didn't like the idea that, you know, all of a sudden I was doing the same sort of thing, you know, not musical, but although I sing every week, as you know, and I love my singing. We're going to sing tonight. I'm not going to, Rosemary's not going to sing. We're not going to get Rosemary to sing. But no, you know, there's a lot more to the work that we do. Yeah, the time, the training, and you know what? I don't know about you, Rosemary, but I've nearly walked away from this work about 5 times because of jealousy, and because of the difficulties that come with the work, because it just seems sometimes as if you're banging your head against a brick wall, or you're meeting people who, you know, you're not good enough. What are you doing in this work? It just seems, you know what I mean?
The unspiritual people.
The unspiritual people who are in the spiritual industry. Yeah, it just... Bella's looking forward to our singing, and I'm not dumb. But yeah, I think it's important sometimes just to remind people that there is a huge amount of things that go in. I'm just thinking about Lorraine at the church and you at the church. Lorraine opens that church up every week. She has to make sure it's maintained. You have to make sure you've got your minister or your guest medium for the next week. You have to make sure now that you've got your seats all parted a metre apart, and that nobody touches the cups. And we were talking about that a little while ago.
And the rubber gloves. Gotta wear rubber gloves.
I saw something funny, a post on Facebook today, and there's a picture of all these rubber gloves, yellow ones, on sticks in the garden. And it said, we're really disappointed. We thought we planted daffodils and the marigolds have grown instead. I think that was Ian Tamplin who put that one up. So thank you for that one, Ian. That was just beautiful. Yeah, Lorraine has just said egos and jealousy cause an awful lot of trouble. And they do. Yeah. And it is really sad because, you know, we come into this to help people and to be there for people and to do our best for people. But it does make it really, really hard, you know, when people give you that hard time. And yeah, I'm glad I didn't give up, because I've I love what I do. I love the people that I've met. I've met this lovely lady as well, which is great. And we are allowed to do that, by the way. You know, it's been an interesting journey for myself. It's been an interesting journey, and I know it has for you as well.
Yeah, always.
always. And we meet some very nice people. It's funny because I'm just thinking that Bruno came on to so I'm going to talk about you, Bruno came on a couple of weeks ago at a demonstration of mediumship that I was doing, or a church service, and then love him, he came on to a student demonstration, and then joined one of my classes because I invited participants to be an audience. So all of a sudden we've got somebody different. Oh, thank you, Ian. He loves my enthusiasm. Well, I think this is my enthusiasm mentor here, or equal, because we're both exactly the same. But it is lovely. And of course I'm doing online classes. I've got a new block of classes. I need to talk about that, starting in April, the 5th of April on a Monday, and that's 10 till 12. And the Thursday is 7 till 9. Because the clocks are changing, we're able to do it at a decent time instead of a later time. So that's really, really good. The only thing with the clocks changing is we can't do, or I can't do, the services now in the UK, because where they were 6 o'clock in the morning, which was bad enough, they're now 4 o'clock in the morning. So unless you do them at a later time, I can't do them for the next time zone. But Rosemary does church service, classes at her church as well, and is going to be starting those fairly soon. And they will go onto your page
next month.
They start next month. And yeah, Bella said we would never have met, because I did a reading for Bella, and then we've become the best of friends, which is just wonderful. And what, Ian? Okay, so new classes, and also we're going to be doing what are we going to be doing? Yes, live shows and live. Oh, I'm doing a live show in Camden. I'm so thrilled to be going back to the Camden Civic Centre to do a live demonstration of mediumship. And the last time I was there, it was phenomenal. We had a brilliant audience, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, you know, it's something that I've really missed. And then, yeah, traveling. I'm traveling. I'm going to Adelaide for 2 weeks to do some more work in Border Town. And thank you for that, Kate. Yes, my classes are online on the Monday morning and the Thursday evening. But then in Wollongong Spiritualist Church, I have got a workshop day, which is 6 hours. So the classes are 2 hours, because I think it's too intense to do longer than that online. But the workshop in Wollongong Spiritualist Church, you're a great friend, Kate, thank you. And they're all on my website. And the links are working, because I checked them today. So you can book all of the workshops, the shows, and the online classes as well on my website, which I will put up for you, because then you can find that information yourselves. There we go.
Including Nambour next Saturday.
Including Nambour next Saturday. And it's going to be a psychic and mediumship workshop, because I personally think it's important to learn the both things. And Ali is booked, yay! It's Fiona from Red Hill. I thought it was another Fiona. I was going to say you're booked. Hello, Fiona from Red Hill. That's where I used to live in the UK. It's so nice that you've connected on here tonight. The rain is not in Spain tonight, so Bella's got rain in the Blue Mountains as well. Yeah, I think everywhere's got the rain. It's just awful. We just hear the downpour coming again. It keeps stopping and starting. So Claire, Louise, how lovely to see you as well. So we haven't had many questions from you lot. Come on, you've got to give us some more questions. So what else can we talk about?
how about you tell us a little bit about your story? You say I've been doing this for a long time, but tell us a little bit about how you got here.
Oh, I think I've talked about this before.
Oh, okay.
But I can still talk about it. So I am a very down-to-earth person, and I had been doing spirit work for, I'm trying to think, I started 30 years ago, so I'd been doing, and this was 12 years ago, I'd been doing all the churches in the UK. That's how I met David. I was doing classes in the UK in my little tiny doll's house in the UK. I'd fit 15 people in my lounge. It was tiny. It was probably this little space here, and we used to really enjoy those every week. And people progressed and then went on to do churches and blah blah blah. And then one day when I was in a really bad situation, I had £1 in my purse. I have talked about this. I'll answer that one in a minute, Lorraine. How many guides do we have? So yeah, £1 in my purse, nowhere to go, nothing to do, can't do anything, and I get the voices in my head, as you do when you talk to spirit, and it said, we want you to give up your business, to give up your home, to give up your country, to go to Australia to teach. And I think I've mentioned before, my reaction to that was just a scream. How is that going to happen? I've got no money, no skills, no qualifications, and I'm too old for Australia. I know there's some new people on here, so they wouldn't have heard this. Anyway, I had just literally read the book The Secret, and it says, if you put things out to the universe, then the universe will give back. So I did exactly that, and I got my diary for the following year, and I drew a line in every page in every day in November, and I wrote Australia across the page, and I just sat back and waited and waited. And so that was Christmas 2008, and I was planning to go in November 2009. And it came to, so nothing happened, and life was really dull and boring and very sad. And I got to June, and I got an email from our lovely friend Jeffrey Shaw, who I had emailed 7 years before. Rosemary knows Jeffrey as well,
Yep.
and he's become my best friend, or one of my best friends. I've got a heap of them
Thank
now.
you.
And Jeffrey just messaged and said, I'm coming to England. And I instantly went straight back to him. And my kids all thought I was crazy. And I emailed him straight away and said, when you come in, which airport, I'll pick you up, come and stay with me, which he did. And he came for 3 weeks, but he stayed at my place for 3 nights. And he happened to come to my house when I was working. So I had 2 theatres booked, so 2 shows, and a ghost investigation. And he came to all of them. And on the last night before he left, he said, you should come to Australia, mate. They'd love you over there. And I said, well, I put it in my diary for November. And he said, no, not a good time, because everybody's planning holidays. So we rescheduled it for February 2010. And I haven't looked back since then. Didn't think for a minute that I would be able to stay here permanently. My initial plan was to come here for 3 months and go home, because I could do that on a business visa. And I had all of that worked out. And then I got offered a 457 visa, which didn't work. And then I had a relationship, which didn't work. And then November the 28th, I think. No, it was the 17th of November last year, I got my citizenship. Yes. And I could not believe that actually happened. So, and I must admit, all the way through that 10 years, I've told you before, I scream and shout at spirit. And I went, you told me I had to come, make this happen, pull your finger out. And I gave them such a hard time. So it's a wonder that they made it happen in the end, but it did. But, you know, I'm not an airy-fairy person. You see some of those out there, don't you? Oh, spirit this and spirit that. And they just rule or run their lives by everything that spirit tells them. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're human beings and we've got to have a physical human life, but we're working with spirit. But I'm just grateful that spirit worked with me, and that I was supposed to be here. So a couple of questions here.
Lorraine says,
yeah.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
I was so happy. I can't tell you. I went with my daughter in the car and I kept touching her and saying, I keep thinking they're going to tell me this is not real. I was so frightened driving there, but it was just so lovely to do that. So, Tamlin, my lovely friend Tamlin, I hope you're fitting well because I know you had a big accident, and I'm so glad the universe brought you to Australia. I feel blessed to have met you. You are so beautiful, Tamlin. Tamlin I met in when I was at Wangaratta, and she lived on a farm. And I used to go over to the farm and visit her. Okay. Gillian's not heard the story before. That surprises me. Yeah. Okay, let me just hang on. I'm missing out some questions here. So how many guides do we have? Well, we come in with however many.
I honestly don't know because I've never bothered to count or ask them. I just assume they're there because they've proved to me that I can trust them. So I don't worry about who they are or what they are or how many there are. I just work with them.
And some people say to you, I want to know what my guide's name is. And I say, you don't need to know who their name is. You just need to know that they're working with you. And I know that I've read and heard that at different stages in your life, a new guide will come in because you've got a new path or a new obstacle in front of you and they need to help you. And that's what guides do. They help you to overcome, to get through, and to be the best person that you can, I think. You right? Yeah, I think so. But they don't rule our lives. We're the one having the human experience, so they're just there as backup. Yeah, and they help us. They help us. So my guides must laugh their heads off at me sometimes because I do give them a hard time. But anyway, I'm entitled to. They're my guides, and I've actually got a really great relationship with my guides because when I'm angry with them, I tell them. And Bella's just said that Danny. And Danny linked to me on Facebook, by the way, Belle. So thank you for that. And I know Danny has had his arguments with spirit as well, and I think a lot of us do. You know, what are we in this situation for? Why have I got to go through this? But then we come into this world to learn lessons, don't we? None of us knows what our life purpose is or our life path is, and for an awful lot of us that path changes drastically so many times. So there's where your new guide steps in and says, they need a bit of an uplift here, or they need some help, or they need some extra healing. So, you know, they just step in when they are needed and when it is necessary. So Bella's just said, Dan told me of a boat in a boat manor that he saw when he was sick. And I've only had the tunnel. It's crossing over the river specifically for those who wanted to leave by their own hand. Not necessarily, Bella. Everybody's experience is different. And you know, because every one of us are different. So of course, and all our guides are going to be different as well. Somebody had to say the Lord's Prayer. Oh dear me. Brandon. Yes, thank you, Brandon. It sounded like it was, not very nice, but there we are. Lifetime guide plus extras as you need them. Yeah. And, you know, if you're going through new situations, then all you need to do is to say to Spirit, you know, can you send me somebody that's going to help me get through this? And they will. They work with us because they want to help us. You know, that's what this is about. Lifetime guide plus extras as you need them. Yes. Can our ancestors be guides? Now, this is an interesting one because I would say yes. I have a lot of my family and relatives that are now on the other side who work with me for various things. I know, you know, when I'm low or flat, one of them will step forward. When I've got something new to do with my work, somebody will step forward. If I need a bit of upliftment or a bit of fun, there's my dad. And my dad was a joker. So, you know, they do. Now, can I talk about not regression, going into a future life. What do they call that? I can't think of the word. Anyway, it'll come to us. But somebody said recently, one of my really good respected teachers, that our family reincarnation, our family don't reincarnate into our family until our family's all gone, because we're all the same group soul.
Yeah.
So we have to all come back together as a group soul. So that was the answer to that one. And Here Comes the Rain Again. That's a song. Here comes the rain again. Oh, no, that's the sun. Okay, Kate, hello, beautiful Kate over there. Your girls are gorgeous. I love seeing their lovely photographs. Can you have more than one guide present at a time? Of course you can, Ali. You're going to have guides around you at the moment who are helping you to get through the healing process. So you'll have healing guides. You'll have guides that are trying to keep you uplifted and upbeat. So you'll have the funny ones. I know when I'm on platform, somebody said to me, you've got a Chinese guide that works with you, and you can see him laughing. And anybody that's seen me work live, I do everything with a lot of fun and laughter. And for me, that's very important. So yes, there are different guides. You can even say you've got a big pile of washing up and you hate the washing up. You probably get a guide that comes through. Come on, let's get this job done and we'll do it together. I know that's making light of it, but you never know. You've probably got people here with your boxes saying, come on, Rosemary, let's shift you.
Well, I just don't feel like they want to help. They won't do it without me. That's a bit, and I'd like them to do the washing up without me.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Bella's just said all my guides probably need trauma counselling. Oh, you funny girl, you funny girl. And yes, Ali, you definitely have funny guides. Ali is lovely in class because she and you've got musical guides as well, because she puts everything to music.
Yeah.
And then she comes up with these funny doodles, and her very strange doodles and words and words come into a fantastic message for somebody, and they are always recognized, and I absolutely love that. So we all work differently. So if we physical human beings work differently, well, so does spirit, and that's what we need. We need the different ones that will come and work with us to give us the things that we need. So I'm hoping tonight has been a little bit uplifting and a little bit Ian has said, have they got dusters in their pockets? Now that's really interesting, Ian, because I absolutely know that they have pink ones. And it's yeah, Ali, you're a great medium, and you never thought you would be, but you are a great medium, and I'm very, very proud of the work you do. Ian, the same. All of my students that are on here, I love watching. Isn't it wonderful when you watch students progress, and they work through something, and then you watch them the next time, and then when you're watching them do live demonstrations of their own or church services on their own, and they're my babies, so I get very emotional when I see that. So Ian keeps being brought messages from his lovely wife Pam, who passed 2 years ago in January, and they're always to do with feather dusters and pink dusters, and I think Ian's getting a little bit over it, really. But anyway, it's the fun part of it, Ian. But she does bring other things as well, which is just gorgeous. So we know that Pam is around you at all times, and it's lovely to know our families, all our families and guides and helpers, whoever are with us, helping us.
Yeah,
and they will have been with you this week. This has been so. I need to just say before we finish, Rosemary was in that house for 25 years.
Yep.
25 years. So that's 25 years of a life that has come to the final end. So hence the song, The Carnival is Over. And that is so emotional.
Yep.
And sad, but uplifting.
Yes.
And motivating, but it's also, yay, here's the next chapter.
Aussie.
Yeah.
Oi.
Yeah, so here's to the next chapter.
Yeah.
And we all go through life like that, where we don't know what's around the next corner. And I know, how difficult that was for you. And I love coming to your house. And Rosemary wanted some, I'm going to beef myself up. Rosemary wanted some wooden floors laid, and she bought the wooden flooring. But Rosemary has difficulties with getting up and down and all the rest of it. So silly me, offered to lay the floor for her. So I laid the floor in your hall, and we had 7 doors to cut around.
Yep.
And the kitchen. It was a huge, I can't remember how many boxes of flooring it was, but it was
I think it was about 15.
Anyway, Val did that because for me, that was a way of spiritually being able to give back, but physically being able to give back and being able to help a friend in need. And it was so lovely, wasn't it, when it was all done?
It was, but she didn't tell you the fact that I was living near Grafton and she was down in Taree. She'd already driven through my place, and she got down to Taree and she rang me back and she said, "Do you want me to come back?" And I said yes, and she was the only person who did it.
I did. I drove 3 hours to come back, and we started the following day. And it was pretty tough. But anybody that knows me knows I'm a bit of a DIY freak, and I love doing things like that. But you in your day have. I mean, you built the kitchen in that house.
Yeah.
She's about to knock part of her kitchen away from, you know, where she is here now. So I love women like that. It's not only the men that can do these things,
Yeah.
you know. And I think when you've got when you're on a mission to do something, hell yes, we can do it. So
Don't get in our way.
Yeah. Don't get in our way. But it's interesting because I'm one of these people that many years ago somebody said because I was a woman I couldn't do things.
Yes.
That was like a red rag to a bull for me, because my dad had taught me everything that I know. I did, you know, painting, decorating, repaired cars. I wanted to be a car mechanic, and they wouldn't let me because they said I was too shy and I would get upset by all the swearing. And then I wanted to join the Merchant Navy, and they wouldn't let me do that for the same reason. And I look at what I'm doing now and I'm thinking, well, I'm doing a great job. Yeah, describing your mama. Exactly. A lady that's always been on a mission, Bella, and how lucky you are to have a mum like her as well. Uni, teaching, yes. I miss class and I miss you. Yeah, we miss you too, Bella. We're going to get you back. But when you're doing uni, you can't do the 2 things at the same time. Hey there, Georgie girl. You get us singing. Anyway,
I love that song.
Hey there, Georgie girl. Yeah. Okay, we're not going to play that. We're gonna do the healing now. Now there is Christine Stored. Hello, ladies. You've joined us right at the time we're going to do the healing song and leave you. But you will be able to go back and listen to this again. It'll be on my Facebook page, Val Hood Evidential Medium, and Val Hood. So one's got me in a sitting on a beach, and one's got me in a red dress as well. And then it's also on YouTube, Val Hood on YouTube. If any of you want to come on, I do this every week, and I never know who's coming on or not. So I might find another guest next week up here. We'll have to work on.
I'll find you one.
Yeah.
Actually, Tamara would be great.
Okay. All right, we'll work on a guest for next week because I'm still up here next week. So this Wednesday is Kuroi Church. Next Wednesday is Bly, and Nambour on Saturday for a workshop. If anybody is in the Nambour area or the Kuroi or Bly, then pop along and say hello and come and see me. Come and see me work. I mentioned Wollongong opening on the 11th of April, and I am their guest medium. And Brett's service, next service is the 6th of April, and I am their guest medium. I think people are going to be over Val Hood. So, but anyway, you know, it's just beautiful to be able to do this work. So, thank you, Lorraine. It's been fun. And she said, thank you, Val and Rosemary. How lovely is that? We couldn't do this without you guys. And, you know, when you join us, it makes me excited because I know that I'm not sitting here talking to myself. And I do talk to myself a lot. And this lady does too. I keep saying to her, I said, what are you? Oh, it's all right. I'm just talking to myself. But she's doing it all the time. It's really quite funny. But yeah, Gillian said, love joining you on a Monday. It's like a grounding session for the week. Oh, that's beautiful,
that's
Gillian.
perfect.
Thank you. So let's do the healing. Now, the healing is about sending that love and energy out to our world. And there are a lot of Let's all take care. No picture or sound. Can anybody hear us now? Maybe the rain's damaged something. I love it. Thanks all. Take care. You never guess what? I have got mobile broadband, and the mobile broadband run out of battery. Hello, Angela. So there will be a blank at the end of that. But we didn't do the healing, and I really feel that I should do the healing because for me it's important. So for those of you that have gone, I'm so sorry. And for those of you that are still there, I'm really grateful. But I had to go and run and get my little charger thing for my mobile broadband. I charged everything else up except that. So I really apologize. But anyway, So let's do this healing segment because it's so important for me, and I know it is for Rosemary as well. So that is a huge part of the work that we do. It's about healing and helping and uplifting people. So I want you to imagine that you're all linking hands and all connected to one another. And I want you to send out that beautiful energy from yourself, that healing energy out with your left hand and feel it coming round in a big, big circle into your right hand, and feel that lovely flow of energy through your body. I know you weren't going to let me off the healing bit, and I'm really grateful. And Bella's put the words up, which is wonderful. So thank you for that, Bella. And so I want you to imagine that you're sending this beautiful healing energy, and I want you to expand it out. I want you to expand it out through your county, state, country, the world. Just push it, push it, push it as far as you possibly can. And let me just do this a second. Okay, and we're sending it out to the whole world. I get this right one week, you know I will. So we're sending that beautiful healing out. We want to send the healing out to everybody that's named in healing books all throughout the world. Anybody that is sick in mind, body, or spirit. Everybody that's affected by COVID. I know some countries, especially the countries like India and Brazil, are pretty bad. And I know Britain's got better, thank goodness. And everybody that is now affected by the floods in Australia, because that's really close to home for a lot of us. So we'll send that beautiful energy out to everybody there as well. Let me just put this music on, and then we can sing away to our heart's content. So let me hear you singing. Make a better place, I'll make a better place. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. We care about you. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Another one. Send those energies out to everybody. For you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Make a better place for you and for me. The singing may not be brilliant, but the motive is the important thing. And the motive is about healing and sharing and helping everybody. And that's what we have done tonight. We have made people smile. We have given people information, maybe some information that you hadn't had before or you didn't know. And that is what I try to do. And I try to do that with the wonderful guests that I bring in as well. So, yes, we're joining the frogs tonight, a bit croaky. I know I was a bit croaky, but apologise for that. I used to be a good singer. But look, it is about the sharing and the caring. And we most definitely are two people who love to do that for anybody and everybody that we meet and crosses our path. So until next week, which probably will be here again, and we will see if we can get a good guest, and we'll work on that, but we'll keep you posted. But please keep sending out that love and that healing to everybody that you know. And don't think that just because you're I used to do this, just because you're a little old me person, that you can't do this. You can do anything. And all you have to do is to ask your guides and helpers, who are all there, to please send that loving, healing energies out to anybody that is in need. So New South Wales is definitely getting it from us lot, but right across our world as well. I would like to say thank you to Rosemary for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
You've been fun. And and thank you, all of you, for joining me. Sorry about the blip in the middle, but these things happen. But we'll see you next week, same time, 7 o'clock Canberra time. And I think it's 8 o'clock UK time, AM. And in Queensland, it is 6 o'clock PM. So love to everyone, and keep safe, all of you. And most importantly, be happy. Be happy. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.